Welcome everyone to week 4. In week 4, we're going to be looking at consumer choices with elasticity and consumer utility. Now, neat little concept to look at with elasticity, as it's looking at how consumers respond to price changes. So we're very sensitive to price changes, but we're going to look at concept of elasticity to see how stores make decisions on what to charge for products and the analysis of those. Now, for this week, you're going to have a discussion, and you're going to have an assignment, and you're going to have a sample test. And the sample test is used to give you a guide to see what you'll see on the midterm exam. And I think it'll be very helpful for your work. Now, with the discussion, make sure to have your first post by Thursday night and all of your remaining work in by Sunday. And you want to post on a minimum of 2 different days throughout the week. So if you make your initial post on Thursday and you post your peer response on Saturday, you've met the requirement. Now, what's the price elasticity of demand? When looking at the price elasticity of demand, it refers to the way prices change in relationship to the demand, or the way demand changes in relationship to pricing. Price elasticity can reference the amount of money each individual consumer is willing to pay for something. You know, people with low incomes tend to really have lower price elasticities because they have less money to spend on goods and services. Now, a person with high income is thought to have higher price elasticity since he can afford to spend more. Now, in both cases, the ability to pay is negotiated by the intrinsic value of what is being sold. So if the thing being sold is in high demand, even a consumer with low price elasticity is usually willing to pay higher prices. Examples of price elasticity. An example of an elastic good is one that consumers are very sensitive to price changes. So examples of elastic goods could include like luxury items, goods that have no other substitute. Goods that have a lot of substitute. Goods that are a large portion of my budget. Things that consumers really have to think about making a decision on. Now, inelastic goods, that's a little bit different. Inelastic is looking at goods that are they're not as sensitive. They have to buy them. So gasoline, that's a good thing. And when you look at inelastic goods, you're forced to buy them. It makes consumers really focused on what they have to spend their money on. Now, elasticity implies stretch, flexibility, looks at what we're looking at in terms of the analysis of prices. Now, the flexibility of price elasticity of demand will change based on each item. Change in the nature of both price and demand are affected by a number of factors that you're going to look at. Generally, goods or services offered at a lower price lead to a demand for greater quantity. So if you get socks on sale, you might buy several pairs or several packages instead of just a pair. This means that though the seller offers socks at a lower price, he usually ends up making more money because the demand for the product has increased. Gasoline. Gas stations are more likely to raise prices on gasoline because they know you have to purchase it. It's a more inelastic good. However, if the price is set too low, the retailer may lose money by selling too many pairs of socks, too much or too little gasoline. So they're going to want to raise the price of it. Now, price elasticity of demand evaluates how changes in price influence demand. Under certain circumstances, demand remains relatively inelastic despite the higher prices. This is true of a number of medications. And with medications, there is no substitutes. No substitutes, consumers have to buy it. Demand's going to really remain high, even with the price. Now, it's also true of fuel consumption, where there are few substitutes that exist. Now, example, in 2006, gasoline prices skyrocketed, but the demand for gasoline only changed slightly because consumers still had to buy it. Some people were able to use less gas for the cars or to purchase cars that were hybrids, but those were in short supply. Since fuel alternatives existed, people continue to buy gasoline. Just like you still got to buy it, and the demand is considered very inelastic. Now, prices didn't significantly alter demand. Other utilities like water often are highly inelastic in price because they have no substitute to which a consumer can really turn to. Now, price elasticity of demand also looks at how prices become more elastic. When higher prices may turn away most consumers who choose to buy something else with it less expensive, when a good or service has numerous substitutes, prices are more elastic and will change with that demand. If I have choices, I don't have to buy that one. I could buy something else. In fact, the availability of substitution is often a better predictor of price elasticity than is demand. Now, of monocompetition, that's another big thing with elasticity. Numerous companies offering the same item. That can also affect elasticity because consumers have more choices. Usually competition in the marketplace keeps prices lower, more flexible. Generic equivalents of certain items have lowered the demand for brand name items, thus lowering the prices. In economics, there's complex formulas. When you look in your textbook, you'll see all kinds of formulas. But it shows how the price elasticity of demand can be either profitable or detrimental to sellers. These formulas describe how good or bad price elasticity of demand functions. Examples of good price elasticity of demand include inelastic pricing. In this example, small drop in demand is made up for higher prices. Now, on the other hand, bad price elasticity occurs when quantity demanded increases but does not make up for that discounted price, causing a drop in company profits. A perfectly elastic price is usually, equally detrimental. Raise prices, eliminate the demand completely. No one's going to buy it. But a perfectly inelastic good, raise in price, people are going to still have to buy that good. Which will bring in important analysis that we look at. Now, what I want to focus on in your initial post in the discussion board. A lot of people are missing this. In your initial post, make sure that you're focused on using terms in the chapter to bring into your work. That's very important. And that's where a lot of people are struggling with. They're not really referencing anything. They're not researching. They're just talking a lot, putting life experiences, which is good, but no really reference to the book or connection to that. If you have any questions or whatnot, just let me know. But as usual, all work is due by Sunday night. I wish you all the best.